As the sun slowly sank behind the tall buildings of the city, a soft golden light spread over the skyline. At the very top of Echelon Heights in Lekki Phase 1, laughter echoed from a luxurious penthouse. Champagne flowed freely and joy filled the air. Inside, 4 young men lounged on plush Italian leather sofas. Around them was wealth, shining marble floors, an infinity pool that seemed to touch the ocean, and walls covered with expensive artwork they couldn't even name. They called themselves the Syndicate, and in the world of online fraud, they were kings. Chuka, their leader, was calm and sharp-minded. In his early 30s, he had a charm that made people trust him instantly. His suit was specially tailored, his Rolex was real, and his confident smile could melt doubt in seconds. Fola, the tech expert, worked endlessly on his laptop. He built fake investment websites, wrote scripts to send automated emails, and disappeared once the money entered their accounts. Tunde was the smooth talker, the public face. He answered calls, pretending to be customer support. He managed their fake social media pages and wore flashy designer items like his famous Gucci belts. Obinna, the youngest, was their runner and enforcer, in his 20s, and was hungry for success. He wasn't very smart, but he was fiercely loyal and dangerous when provoked. Together, they operated Quick Funds International, a fraudulent Ponzi scheme disguised as a legit investment company. Their latest scam was called Crypto Booster 3.0, a fake app filled with live dashboards, countdowns, and made-up reviews taken from Reddit. People sent him money from cities like Abuja, Port Harcourt, and even as far as London, thinking they had discovered a gold mine. And for a while, it worked. That evening, Chuka raised his glass of champagne. To another month of living the dream, my guys. They all cheered and clinked glasses. Tunde chuckled. Did you see that woman crying on Instagram Live today? She said she borrowed her children's school fees to invest. I almost felt bad. Chuka shrugged casually. Emotions don't pay the rent, my brother. Let's drink to another 20 million naira in the account. But Fola's face turned serious. There's a strange email in our complaint inbox. It's different. He connected his laptop to their massive 120-inch screen and read the message out loud. From ireti.watcher@oraclemail.ng. Subject: I see you. Message body: you have taken what is not yours. The spirits are watching. Return it or be returned. The room went silent. Obinna laughed nervously. Abeg, na prank. People dey craze when they lose money. Fola shook his head. This is not normal. There's no IP address or digital footprint. This kind of email shouldn't even exist. Chuka rolled his eyes. People make threats all the time. We are untouchable. Don't let fear control you. But Fola couldn't shake the feeling. Something about the message felt out of this world. In 2 weeks' time, things started falling apart. Obinna was driving home from a club one night around 3 a.m., music blasting. The road was strangely empty. Suddenly, his car radio switched on its own. It changed to static. Then he heard a whisper. Your time is ticking, thief. Startled, he hit the brakes, checked his surroundings, and nobody was there. Scared, he called Chuka immediately. Guy, I swear, something they follow me. Relax, Chuka replied. You are just high. But Obinna wasn't hallucinating. That same night, every mirror in his house shattered at exactly 3 a.m., even the small one inside his car's glove box. Next, it was Fola. He tried accessing their offshore crypto wallet. It was empty. $3.6 million gone without a trace. No way! He screamed, typing frantically. This was a military-grade firewall. He didn't sleep for 36 hours, trying to track what had happened. Nothing. No single sign of a hacker. Then his laptop screen flickered. Not a glitch. Something deliberate. The screen turned black. A one-word letter appeared in blood-red letters. Confess. Fola slammed the laptop shut. His heart was racing. Tunde began to lose his voice. At first, he thought it was stress, but within a few days, he couldn't speak at all. Hospital tests showed nothing was wrong. Physically, he was fine. But one night, lying in bed, he heard a woman whisper in his ear, "You used your voice to lie. Now you will learn silence." Chuka remained defiant. "I don't believe in spirits," he scoffed. "Let them try me." But strange things began happening around him too. Shadows moved on their own. His Rolex would freeze whenever he was alone. Once, in the mirror, he saw a woman dressed in white with glowing eyes standing behind him. When he turned, no one was there. Shaking with fear, the four men gathered in their penthouse. Each one had experienced something terrifying. "Guy, I think this is Juju," Obinna whispered. "Strong one." Fola nodded. "That woman, she signed her name as Ireti. We need to find her." Even Chuka, now pale and visibly thinner, agreed. "Let's find her and pay her abeg." But Mama Ireti did not want money. She wanted justice, and soon they would learn that you can't hide from spiritual justice. Lagos is a city that never sleeps, but on this particular night, it felt strangely still, like it was holding its breath. Chuka sat at the head of their large mahogany dining table in the penthouse. His eyes stared blankly at nothing, and his fingers drummed nervously on the polished surface. For the third time that evening, the lights flickered, but it wasn't the usual power problem, and their generator was working perfectly. Something else was happening. "She's not ordinary," Fola said, pacing back and forth behind him. His voice trembled. "Bro, I've searched everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, even on the dark web. I found nothing. There's no Ireti connected to that email." Obinna was visibly frightened. He rubbed his arms like he was cold, even though the room was warm. "My mechanic said the scratch marks on my Benz, they came from inside the car and not outside. Like something was inside, trying to claw its way out." Chuka still didn't speak. Tunde, who had completely lost his voice now, leaned against the marble kitchen island. He picked up a pen and paper and scribbled something. Fola took it and read loud. "We need a spiritualist. This is no longer tech, it's power." Chuka slowly nodded. "You're right. Tonight, we'll find one." Later that night, they followed Fola's cousin's whispered directions to a small shrine hidden deep inside Mushin. It wasn't on Google Maps. It wasn't listed anywhere, but it existed. The air around the shrine smelled of burnt herbs, chalk and something ancient. The four men stepped into a dimly lit hut where candles cast long shadows on the walls. At the center of the room sat an old man, leg crossed and his eyes closed. "You seek the one called Ireti," he said before any of them could speak. Obinna stepped back in fear. "Yes," Chuk replied. "She's haunting us. We want to." "Beg her?" the old man interrupted, opening his eyes. "You don't beg Asho Ireti, you submit." Chuka frowned. "Who exactly is she?" The old man rose slowly, walked to a wooden shelf and took down a carved calabash. From the calabash, he poured white sand into a bowl filled with water. The water turned pitch black. "Look," he instructed. One by one, the men leaned over the bowl. What they saw wasn't just water. Visions appeared. A woman crying in a market after selling her last piece of land to invest. A university student losing his scholarship. A widow thrown out of her house with her children. And behind them all stood a woman in white. Her back was turned, but her hair floated slowly, like it was underwater. "That is Mama Ireti," the old man said. "You stole from the helpless. She is the justice that they were denied. She is their voice, and she haunts you." Obinna started to cry. Tunde clutched his chest in fear. Fola collapsed on the floor, trembling. "There must be something we can do," Chuka asked, His voice was now a quiet whisper. "There's only one part," the old man said. "Return what you have stolen, all of it, or none of you will live to see the next moon." Back at the penthouse, the men gathered their records. The list of victims was long. They picked 10 names to start with. Obinna volunteered to deliver the money in person. He was desperate. He just wanted the nightmare to end. The first person on the list was a woman named Mrs. Adebayo in Surulere. She had invested 500,000 naira. Obinna went to her house with the cash in an envelope. When she opened the door, she looked confused. You are that boy from the Quick Funds posters." Obinna fell to his knees, trembling. "Mama, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. We've been cursed. I don't want to die." She stared at him, then at the envelope. Suddenly, a small radio on the table behind her crackled to life on its own. A ghostly voice came from the speaker. "Forgiveness begins, but judgment remains." The woman gasped, and Obinna ran out of the house in fear. Back at the penthouse, Obinna went into the bathroom to splash water on his face. Then he screamed. The others ran to him. He stood frozen in front of the mirror. His reflection was smiling even though he wasn't. Then the reflection raised a hand and began to write in the steam. 3 more. The mirror shattered. The next morning, Tunde was gone. His bedroom door was locked from the inside. When they broke it down, the room was empty. No broken windows, no forced entry. Only one thing remained, a message written on the wall in ashes. "Your voice is gone, now your body follows." Fola screamed. That same day, social media erupted. Former Quick Funds employees confessed, "I was part of the scam." Crypto Booster 3.0 was a lie. Victims tell their stories. Spiritual justice in Nigeria, what is haunting the fraudsters? People who had been scammed began posting about their experiences. One woman said he saw Tunde in her dreams, crying and begging. Another claimed Mama Ireti appeared to her and whispered, "Your money will return." The police issued a manhunt for Chuka, Fola and Obinna, but at this point, they didn't care about the law. They were running from something much worse. They decided to refund more people. Chuka wired 10 million naira to random victims from their list. Still, the attacks continued. One morning, Fola woke up with blood dripping from his ears. On his pillow was a note pinned with a silver hair pin. "Debt is not only monetary." Panicking, they returned to the shrine in Mushin. The old priest was waiting. "She wants a full circle," he said. "You must stand before her face to face." "How?" Chuka asked. "Where do we find her?" "She will find you," the priest said, "but only one of you will survive it." "What? What do you mean?" they asked. "One of you must carry the full weight. One of you must take responsibility. If not, all of you will be taken." The once beautiful penthouse that used to echo with laughter and pride now felt like a prison. The lights remained permanently off. Curtains were drawn shut. Even with the electricity, the flickering never stopped. It was like the walls themselves have become haunted. 3 men were left. Chuka sat in silence, his hands trembling. He had stopped pretending to be strong. His body looked weaker. His eyes, which were once full of pride, were now hollow. Fola was barely functioning. He kept blinking quickly, muttering under his breath. Every time he closed his eyes, he said he saw a woman dressed in white, just standing there, watching, never speaking. Obinna hadn't spoken in days. He had shaved off all of his hair and now sat in the corner of his room, rocking back and forth, whispering prayers. They were broken men. On the glass table sat a torn piece of parchment. Chuka had received it from the old priest in Mushin. It had only 3 words written in black ash. "Midnight, choose one." The air inside the penthouse suddenly turned freezing cold. Obinna's teeth chattered. "She's coming." Then came the knock. 1, 2, 3, and there was silence. No one moved. The knock returned, louder, deeper, as if it was just not knocking on wood but on their souls. Chuka stood up. His knees were shaking, but he walked to the door and opened it. No one was there, just fog. but when he turned around, she was already inside. She didn't walk in, she just appeared. A tall, strong woman dressed in white, with skin the color of old bronze. Her eyes glowed softly like burning coals. Her massive head wrap sat like a crown. Her presence sucked all the light and heat from the room. "I am Ireti," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it filled every corner of the room. Obinna dropped to the floor sobbing. "Please, please, I was forced. I didn't plan it. I was just following orders." "I warned you," she said calmly. Fola tried to speak, but no sound came out, just like Tunde. His voice had disappeared. Chuka stepped forward. "We gave back some money. We went to the shrine. What else do you want?" She turned and looked straight at him. Repentance without sacrifice is nothing. With a wave of her hand, a large mirror appeared in the middle of the room. Ancient, tall and cracked. "Look," she commanded. One by one, the men were pulled towards the mirror as if it was by magnets. But when they looked in the mirror, they didn't see themselves. They saw the people they had destroyed. A teenage girl, only 19, crying under a bridge. She had sold her laptop and together invested her school fees in Crypto Booster. Now she was homeless. A father of 3, crying silently in a dark room. He had lost his job and savings. Now he sat with pills in his hand. A widow in Lorraine who sold her husband's farmland to escape poverty. She ended up worse than before, thrown out of her home with her children. The men began to cry. Then the mirror shifted again. This time, they saw themselves, not as they were now, but as children. Chuka, standing in front of a broken house, his sick mother lying on a mat. He was promising never to be poor again. Fola was wearing a torn school uniform, his classmates laughing at his old sandals. Obinna was carrying a tray of tomatoes in the market, his eyes red from crying because his uncle had beaten him again. They were once victims, Mama Ireti said, but you chose to become predators. Fola dropped to his knees, tears streaming down his face. There's only one way forward, Mama Ireti continued. One of you must carry the weight of all your crimes. You must confess everything publicly, return every last kobo, face the law. She paused. If no one agrees, all 3 of you will be erased. Your names will vanish, your body will disappear. It will be as though you never existed. After Mama Ireti vanished, the 3 men sat huddled in the corner of the room. Panic took over. "This is a trap," Chuka said in a whisper. "If one of us should confess, we are going down." Fola wrote furiously on a notepad since he couldn't speak. "We have to decide. One of us must go forward or we all die." Obinna stood up suddenly, with his voice shaking. "Why not Chuka? He started it all. He brought us together. It was his idea." Chuka's eyes burned with anger. "Don't act holy. Who collected cash from the victims, eh? Who smiled and posed in ads? You think you are clean?" Fola raised his hand, then he scribbled, "We'll draw lots. Let fate decide." They agreed. They tore up pieces of paper. One had an X on it. They folded the papers and placed them in a bowl. Obinna picked first, blank. Fola picked next, blank. Chuka unfolded his paper, X. His face froze. "You cheated! You both cheated!" Chuka screamed. "You planned this!" "No," Fola mouthed silently. Chuka lunged at Obinna. They fought. Blood splattered on the ties, and Fola tried to stop them. Suddenly, the mirror began to glow again. In the center, Mama Ireti's face appeared. Her voice echoed, "You have till dawn." The penthouse was in total disarray. Blood stained the white marble tiles. Obinna's shirt was torn. A fresh cut marked his cheek. Chuka was breathing heavily, clutching the slip of the paper with the cursed X. His eyes were wide with rage. "You set me up," he shouted, voice trembling with fury. "You both planned this. You picked me to fall." "No one rigged anything," Fola mouthed, holding up his own blank paper again. Obinna backed away, sweat pouring from his face. "You think I want to die? Me care. I did not ask to be sacrificed. I'm not ready." Then it happened. A gust of cold wind burst through the penthouse. Doors slammed shut on their own and light bulbs dimmed. The chandelier swayed. A voice, low and haunting, slid through the air like a shadow. 3 must suffer, but only 1 will surrender. The whisper was cold enough to make their spines freeze. Then there was silence. The penthouse returned to stillness, but the fear remained heavy, like a wet blanket they couldn't throw off. Fola walked to the balcony, gasping for air. His hand trembled as he pulled out his phone. He typed a message to someone saved in his contacts as Baba Ewe. She showed herself. We are dying one by one. Is the charm ready? The reply came instantly. Yes, but bring something that belongs to her. A strand of hair, a piece of cloth, anything she touched, I will bind her. Fola closed the chat and stared at the phone. He had a secret. He hadn't told the others what he was planning. Flashback to 6 weeks earlier. Before things got this bad, Fola sat alone one night in a quiet bar in Ojueleba, drinking and watching a documentary on the downfall of another scam syndicate. He felt pressure, guilt and fear. Then he remembered something someone once whispered to his ear. There are babas who protect scammers too. You just have to pay the price. That's how he met Baba Ewe, a powerful herbalist with a dark reputation. People said he could bend spirits, block curses and protect the guilty. I don't want to die, Fola said. The Baba smiled. Then you must outsmart the spirit world. Back in the penthouse, Chuka was packing a bundle of cash into a duffel bag. Sweat poured down his face. I'm done, he said. I'm leaving. Tonight, I don't care about any ghost or shrine. You can't outrun her, Obinna muttered. Tunde tried to escape too. He booked a flight to Ghana. He disappeared the night before. He never made it to the airport, not a single trace of him. But Chuka didn't care. He zipped up his bag, grabbed his passport and stormed out of the penthouse. As the elevator doors closed behind him, the entire building lost power. The chandeliers above the others went out. Obinna screamed. When the emergency lights came back on, the mirror in the living room began to glow. Chuka's reflection was still in the mirror, smiling even though he was gone. Then the reflection began to melt, dripping like hot wax. Chuka's driver sped through the streets, taking him as far as Ikoyi Bridge. Then suddenly the car engine died. Oga, I swear I buy fuel. This car was fine just now, the driver said, panicking. Chuka stepped out angrily, slamming the door. The city felt too quiet. No sirens, no horns, not even the usual hum of Lagos night. He walked towards the bridge railing and pulled out his phone. Just as he was about to make a call, a hand touched his shoulder. He turned around and she was there, Mama Ireti. She looked calmer now. Her eyes were no longer glowing. They were black, deep and endless. Running? She asked. I returned the money, he said quickly. I'm not the only one. They all played a part. Punish them too. Her eyes narrowed. Are you the leader? He didn't answer. She reached out and touched his forehead. Chuka's eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Meanwhile, back at the penthouse, Fola opened a drawer quietly and pulled out a white scarf. It was the one Mama Ireti had left behind the first night she appeared. He wrapped it in black cloth, then whispered to himself, if this works, everything ends tonight. While Obinna was vomiting something black and sticky in the bathroom, Fola snuck out. He jumped into his car and sped towards Baba Ewe's shrine, hidden deep in the forest near Badagry. When Fola arrived, he handed the wrapped scarf to the old herbalist. This belongs to her, Fola said. She touched it. Baba Ewe sniffed the clothes carefully, then nodded. He lit a fire in a clay pot and began to chant words Fola didn't understand. Sit down, the Baba said. This will hurt, but when it is over, she will be trapped in the mirror forever. Fola sat, his chest pounding with anticipation. The fire flared off. The scarf turned to ash. Suddenly, the flames turned blue. Baba Ewe stopped chanting. His eyes widened. No. Something is wrong. The fire roared higher. Smoke twisted into a shape. A woman's face appeared. Mama Ireti. She smiled. You think you can bind justice?